Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome to the Etihad. I hope you can hear me all right. There's the sort of drone behind me is the noise of the lawnmowers out on the pitch here after the full-time whistle here at the Etihad, where it's been quite a dramatic game. I don't quite know how I'm going to even sit here and sum this up over the next 10 minutes or so. It's just been such a dramatic afternoon. It's finished 2-2, a point apiece, but that just doesn't even tell half of the story of what has just happened here at Arsenal. I'm sitting in the press box, looking out onto the pitch. John Stones is down there talking to the media, giving a TV interview. He was the guy in the 98th minute of stoppage time, rescued a point for Manchester City against 10-man Arsenal. Arsenal have had to play with 10 men for the entirety of the second half after Leandro Trossard was sent off for what? Oh yes, delaying the restart. Once again, Arsenal have a player sent off for a second yellow card for delaying the restart. Just a crazy afternoon here of football. It's like I said, it's really hard to actually sit here right now and sum it up how I'm sort of feeling after this. First of all, I think this is a magnificent point for Arsenal. I'm devastated as an Arsenal fan, but I've sat here and watched 3,000 Arsenal fans absolutely standing and applauding their players off the pitch despite having conceded a 98th minute equaliser. They are so proud, or were so proud of their players, and they're going to be driving home the long journey back to London so proud of what the players produced today in a complete backs to the wall performance after the red card. And it looked like they had held on, it looked like they had done it, and then they just switched off in the very last minute. It was a corner. City took it quickly. Arsenal just didn't react to the quick corner enough. Grealish got into the box. It eventually got played back. I think it was Kovacic who had a shot, and it just so luckily deflected in the path of John Stones. David Raya, who was magnificent again, David Raya was already on the floor because he'd been trying to save the first shot, and Stones bundled the ball into the net to make it 2-2. And like I said, heartbreaking for Arsenal, had put in a genuinely monumental effort here with 10 men against the champions to try and protect the 2-1 lead they took into half-time. I mean, the game started terribly for Arsenal. They were behind inside 8 minutes or 9 minutes, I think it was. Erling Haaland went through. Savinho turned Calafiori, who was making his first Arsenal start, drove into the sort of middle of the pitch, slipped the ball through. Haaland got between Saliba and Gabriel, who were too far apart, and he poked the ball underneath Raya and made it 1-0. So it was a dreadful start for Arsenal, and he thought, oh my God, how are they going to cope with this? Because City was swarming all over them, but they got themselves back in the game. Calafiori scored an absolute stunner. I mean, it was a remarkable goal, wasn't it? I'm sure you've all seen it. Martinelli did well down the left. Good assist by him. Made the ball back. Brilliant finish from Calafiori to make it 1-0. And Arsenal just grew into the half from that point. They got better and better. They were on top as we got to half-time. They'd had a couple of chances, and then just a sort of role reversal of the game at Spurs. Saka with a corner. Brilliant delivery. And there was Gabriel header to make it 2-1. You thought that was the end of the drama for the first half. Arsenal were going to take a lead into the break, and they did, but it wasn't the end of the drama because in, I think, the 2 minute, I think it was the 53rd minute of whatever it was supposed to be 7 minutes of stoppage time because there was an injury to Rodri at the end of the first half. But it went into 9 minutes of stoppage time because I think Gabriel's goal was in the first minute of stoppage time. So Michael Oliver played extra on. And that's when Trossard got sent off. He sort of barged over Bernardo Silva going for an aerial duel. Michael Oliver gave the free kick, but he blew the whistle. Literally, Trossard was kicking the ball almost as Oliver blew the whistle. It was so quick. And it was like he just was desperate to get the red card out. So up went the second yellow card, up came the red card, and Arsenal were down to 10 men. I haven't seen yet, because I'm recording this pretty much straight after the full-time whistle, I haven't seen yet what Mikel Arteta had to say downstairs in the press conference. I'll run down there and try and catch it in a minute. But I'm sure secretly he's going to be fuming. It was silly from Trossard, in a way, because of the current climate, because of what happened with Declan Rice. Arsenal were leading. You just don't give the referee an opportunity to do that. And so maybe he shouldn't have done it. But it was so quick. Just as Oliver blew the whistle, Trossard was almost already in the process of kicking the ball. And, the referee could have taken a little bit of time. He chose not to book Doku for a kind of similar incident earlier on in the first half when Doku kicked the ball away. They're saying, it's because Oliver pointed to where the free kick was taken and Doku was kicking the ball in that general direction. But let's face it, he was kicking the ball away. He wasn't kicking it to an Arsenal player. He was trying to stop him taking a quick free kick. Oliver had a decision to make there and he chose not to book Doku. Similar situation. He had a decision to make and he chose to book Trossard. Not only book Trossard, but send Trossard off and completely change the game. Now, from a neutral's point of view, I suppose sitting there watching that second half, it probably wasn't much fun. Arsenal, it was just the lowest of low blocks. Everyone's sitting in. Ben White came off for Bukayo Saka at half-time, and Arsenal just sat in, protected that lead. And it frustrated City. City just couldn't work out how to break them down. They were knocking the ball around. They were moving it from side to side, and then it was someone was taking a shot from outside the box. It was going miles over. When they did get through, David Raya made some excellent saves. And, Arsenal played it. It was a tactical masterclass. It was a defensive masterclass for Arsenal, given the situation. It was such a demanding week. This is their third away game, obviously, away at Spurs, away in Italy on Thursday night, away here against the champions. City had an extra day's rest. It was just a monumental effort from Arsenal, physically, mentally. And my worry was, it was more the mental side of things, because you had to be so mentally switched on for every single incident as that game wore on. And the more your body's got tired and your brain's got tired, there was always a chance that someone was going to switch off, and it could lead to City breaking them down. That kind of what happened with that quick free kick right at the end. You thought they'd done enough. It was 7 minutes of stoppage time. They got through that 7 minutes. City got themselves a corner, and they just took it quickly, and Arsenal didn't react. They weren't sharp enough. They didn't get out quick enough to block the shot. Eventually, I think it was Kovacic, like I said at the start, who had the shot, and it deflected in the starts of John Stones. It was heartbreaking stuff from Arsenal. It really, really was heartbreaking stuff. And I genuinely felt so sorry for the players. They were all on the floor in the penalty area. City, Haaland grabbed the ball, threw it at the back of Gabriel's head, which is actually a bit stupid, because City were trying to get back to the centre circle to start the game again, and Haaland did that, and the ball bounced off, and they didn't actually have the ball to take back to the halfway line. So it was a bit stupid from Haaland, not just from the case of him actually doing it, but it also wasted their time and sort of disrupted things even further, and there was no time for him to mount any sort of late pressure and try and get the winner. But yeah, I mean, Arsenal will be gutted. I'm sure they'll be gutted. I'm feeling it. But this is also a fantastic point. Like, it is a fantastic point when you break it all down, given the circumstances, given the week they've had, given they were down to 10 men for 45 minutes here. This was a really, really good point for Arsenal. As painful as it feels now, and as disappointing as it feels to have got so close to what would have genuinely been a famous victory, it's still a really good point, and it keeps them within 2 points of Manchester City. They've now played their first 3 away games of the season, away at Aston Villa, away at Tottenham, away at Manchester City, and they are still unbeaten, and they are within touching distance at the top of the table. I would have taken that, I have to say, and I would have certainly taken the draw here at the start of the day, coming here after such a demanding week for Arsenal. So, yeah, it's a tough one to really sum up, and I'm sure I've been absolutely rambling away, so apologies for that. I'll do the more in-depth review show when I get home tomorrow. We'll get home later today and have more time to think about it, and I'll put it all together, and I'll hopefully will make a fair bit more sense tomorrow when I sit down. If you want to get involved in that, let me know in the comments below your thoughts on what's gone on today, some of the performances. I'll go through my player ratings in a minute, and I'll pull some of them together as always and get them included in the show. Right, let's do some player ratings now, shall we? Okay, I'm starting with David Raya, who was my man of the match today. I thought David Raya was absolutely exceptional once again. He was always going to be under pressure because of just what was going to happen in the second half, and he did everything right. When he needed to make a save, he made a save really well. His handling from crosses, from shots, from outside the box, everything was perfect from David Raya, and I felt so sorry for him that he could do nothing about that equaliser because he'd already committed himself to the save from the shot that eventually deflected into the path of John Stones. But I thought Raya was exceptional. I gave him a 9 out of 10. I loved Jurrien Timber. He was playing on the right. He played at right back, his natural position. I loved his battle. He was up against a dangerous Doku. I thought he handled him really, really well, and I thought he epitomised this spirit that Arsenal needed here today. I really liked him. He ran himself into the ground. He ended up going off, limping off, and was replaced by Miles Lewis-Skelly in injury time. Hopefully that was nothing more than cramp. We'll have to wait and see on that, but I gave him an 8 out of 10. Saliba and Gabriel, it was a wonderful battle against Haaland. Obviously it started badly for them, Haaland getting through the pair of them to score the goal, but then they just, I thought they had the better of Haaland for the rest of the game after that. In the second half, it was kind of City played into their hands really, because by the end of it, City had run out of ideas and were just everything that was coming into the box. Saliba or Gabriel getting it. If it wasn't them, Timber was getting it, or Calafiori when he was on the pitch. The pair of them did really well, and Gabriel obviously got the goal once again with a thumping header. I gave the pair of them 8 out of 10s. Ricardo Calafiori also gave an 8 out of 10. He had a tough start defensively, Calafiori. He got done by Savinho in the build-up to the goal for City, and there was a couple more moments in that first half when Savinho got the better of him when they were one-on-one. It looked like he was going to be in for a really tricky afternoon, but he got to grips with him after that, and I really thought he settled into the game, played well, and he scored an unbelievable goal on his first Arsenal start. Just what a finish that was with his left foot. So I ended up giving Calafiori an 8. I thought he really grew into the game. He did go off in the second half. Again, another Arsenal player who put so much into it and ended up limping off. Hopefully, like Timber, that's no more than cramp. We'll have to wait and see. He was replaced by Kivior, but I gave him an 8 out of 10. So all of the back four 8 out of 10s. David Raya, a 9 out of 10. In midfield, I gave Thomas Partey and Declan Rice. Both of them I gave a 7. I thought the second half played into Thomas's hands a lot more because he just didn't have to do any running. It was a case of sit on the edge of the box and just protect the back four, and he did it really, really well. And I thought Declan Rice, he was the one tasked with trying to get the ball out a little bit more, sort of run with it, drive with it, and get the ball to Martinelli. It was a real struggle, though, because he was on his own the whole time. But he just did provide that extra layer of defence alongside Thomas Partey and ran himself into the ground, especially Declan Rice, as he did try to get forward. So I gave those two 7s out of 10. I gave Kai Havertz an 8 out of 10. I don't know how Kai Havertz is even walking right now. The amount of effort he put into that game, just ploughing such a lone furrow for himself at times, especially in the second half after the sending off and after Saka had been substituted. Just worked and worked and worked. Fair play to him, 8 out of 10. I've seen stats going around that he didn't complete a single pass or something like that, but that just wasn't what he was asked to do. Everything Mikel Arteta asked him to do in that second half, he did it, and it was just a tireless performance from Kai Havertz. So I gave him an 8 out of 10. Up front, Saka, I gave him a 6. In the end, he only played the first 45 minutes. Brilliant delivery for the corner to set up the goal for Gabriel. Obviously was withdrawn at half-time, I presume, just purely tactical reasons, so that Ben White could come on and Arsenal could go to a 3 at the back. So I gave Saka a 6. Trossard, I gave a 3. Ultimately, it was his fault that he got himself sent off. He didn't need to do it, what he did. But I also think you've got to have a little bit of common sense as a referee and know what's going on in football. You know the stature of the game. You know that the passions are high, and the free kicks given against him, he doesn't quite agree with the decision. And it's not like he did it 3 seconds after the whistle went. He did it basically as Oliver Kick blew the whistle. I thought he could have taken another decision, but ultimately Trossard could have not done it. And that decision to kick the ball away has ended up Arsenal completely changed the game, changed everything tactically. I gave him a 3 out of 10. Gabriel Martinelli, I thought, was excellent. He had a lot of critics going into this game. We spent a lot of time on this channel talking about Gabriel Martinelli in the build-up to this game. He got the assist for Calafiori's goal. In the first half, he was a real threat. He tried to pull off Kyle Walker. He was always the out ball for Arsenal. He got his head up, just like he did for the assist for Calafiori. He set up another chance for Trossard where he got his head up and made the right decision. Second half, he just did not stop running. He tried to be the out ball at times. There was a couple of times he didn't hold the ball up very well, but it's just not his game. He was always going to struggle to be able to do that, especially up against someone as strong as Kyle Walker. But I thought it was a really good performance from Gabriel Martinelli. I gave him an 8 out of 10 as well. Subs who came on, obviously Ben White came on at half-time, helped that rearguard action, did it very, very well. Gave him a 7 out of 10. The other two I'm not going to mark. Kivior came on for the last 15 minutes. Lewis Skelly came on right at the end when I think it was Timber went down with the injury as well. So that's they're my player ratings for the Arsenal players. I gave Mikel Arteta an 8 out of 10. Tactically, he was seconds away from producing an absolute defensive masterclass that we would have spoken about for the ages. It was his players who actually put it into practice. He'll be so proud of his players after the week they've had. I know he's going to be angry. I haven't seen what he said yet. He's probably already been speaking at his press conference. I know he's going to be angry about what's happened, but he'll be very, very proud of his players and what they've produced for him today and what they've produced for him this week after such a difficult 3 away games. For Arsenal now, they've got 3 home games coming up. They can take stock, hopefully get some, at least some of these players aren't going to be playing against Bolton, so some of these weary legs can have a bit of a break. They deserve it 100%, and they can get ready to go again at the weekend against Leicester, back with home comforts at the Emirates. Right, again, I'm sorry, I'm sure I've rambled my way through this and made very, very little sense. It's been such a dramatic afternoon here at the Etihad. I've now got a very long drive home in the wet back to London, which is not going to be fun, but I'm very, very satisfied with what I've seen here from Arsenal, and they can be really satisfied as well. Like I said, you want to get involved in the review show tomorrow, you know what to do. Get down into the comments below and give me your thoughts, your opinions on what's happened here today. I'll pull some of them together and get them included into the show. Until then, everyone, have a very good Sunday evening. I'll speak to you soon. It's finished here at the Etihad. Manchester City 2, Arsenal 2.